the 17th of October. I don't even have to look at my watch. I think I've got the date stuck in my head today. Friday night, everybody. So those of you who are obviously are off tomorrow, like myself, Friday night is a wonderful thing. So this is the evening show, the Friday night show. Anything goes pretty much. There are some things to talk about, but this is more of a sort of chilled show. This is really your show. This is your opportunity to kind of get into the things that you want to say tonight. There's a little bit on the self that we can get into as well. Now, whether we believe this or not, again, don't shoot the messenger. I just report the news. I come on and then I talk about the things that I see. And then obviously you guys in the community are amazing, and we talk about this stuff and get things off of our chest. So this is a relaxed show tonight. We will go as long as we need to. So yeah, let me know how you're doing today. Let me know how your Friday has been. Let me know where you are around the world. We get so many people now from around the world on here, which absolutely astounds me. It's absolutely fantastic. Also, we get some rival fans, which you guys are amazing as well. Really, really respectful to the chat. We love the banter. We don't mind the banter. The only thing I do ask is that we be respectful to each other. Be respectful to yourselves. Be respectful to me. Otherwise, you will get banned. I don't like doing it. I hate banning people. It's just not me. Also, what I tend to do on here as well is I do read the chat. So be careful about what you say in the chat, because I will read it. Obviously, depending on the wording of it, there's some things I can't say, purely just because of the video will get banned, or you guys will dislike me. And a thank you for being here. So please get into the chat this evening, Friday night show, and let's see how we go on the show tonight. So what are we going to talk about now? With the sales back on, we can talk about Liverpool game tomorrow. Get in with what you think is going to happen on the game on Sunday. Let me know your thoughts on the team. I don't know if you saw the press conference today. Let me know what you think. Rizwana says Glazer attended a IHC forum 5 months ago. Now that's interesting. That really is. I think we can talk about IHC as well. I did have some notes on that, which I think I might have put in the bin. But I might have to get them all. I think I can still remember. So we did do a show on basically on the back of a really good show, actually, a really good clip that I got sent by somebody of the Unite stand. Again, as a platform, really good platform. And yeah, so there was a clip on that, and I did a whole show on that as well. Finny Meth says, what score do you think that Man United will be? The Liverpool? Finley, hi my friend, you are back. Legend, my friend. I hope you're doing extremely well. What do I think the score will be? Now, I will be honest, and I always am, and people have called me negative on here as well, which I'm not. I have to go with what I think is true, and what I think is probably right is I do think that we will. I think a draw is going to be our best bet. I think we could do a 1-1, a 2-2. But I do suspect that Liverpool will ultimately have too much. I think Anfield is going to be. The thing is with our players as well is that I think they'll hide. They will run and hide. Fernandes, we all know the petulance. We all know that he goes and hides. And I think our players will hide. So I think Liverpool will have the edge, and I think they'll win 2-1. 3-1, I hope not. Look, I'd love to be wrong. Feel free to come on and tell me after the game if I'm wrong. But Finley, I think we lose. I hate saying it. I really do. But I do think that we lose that game. It's not great. You tell me, Finley. You tell me what you think the score will be. I'd love to know, and give me some reasons why. IHC will have shares in the club. Now that's an interesting one as well. So we did talk about IHC. Now I'm just having a little bit of an ex spat with somebody who reckons that the IHC are not involved because one of the members or somebody is a brother of the Man City CEO or for for whatever reason. So I mean, if anybody knows a bit more information about the IHC, now the IHC, I know basically their cap worth is about 240 billion. The assets are worth 400 billion. If that is the consortium or they're trying to broker some sort of deal, then basically they are the consortium to do it. I think Liverpool will score a penalty, then in the second half, Shesko will score, and then the winner score. Finley, do you know what, Finley? I love my friend. I love when people make predictions. I'd love you to be right, mate. Come back on Sunday as well and tell me come and tell me if you're right. I'd love it. I'd love it to be true. I'd love to get carried away and believe in these players, and but I just don't believe in these players, mate. I wish I had your confidence. I just right now I just don't believe in these players. They've let us down time and time again. So I just don't believe in these players. But I'm loving it, mate. Wayne says it's the ref at the end of the day. It makes stupid decisions. Wayne, I mean, as I've been saying all day today, right? And Wayne is a legend of the chat as well, and a Liverpool fan. Fantastic person is Wayne. Bruno says hi. Hello, my friend. So, look, I think even though Liverpool haven't been playing great, let's be serious for a second. Liverpool are still winning games. They have match winners all over the pitch, and this is what champions do. This is when you have assembled a team like that. Legions of Rome says hi. Hello, my friend. Danny B says big up, JB. Big up, my friend. Hope you're doing extremely well tonight. This is one of those shows. This is a Friday night relax show, and we'll get through the thumbnail, and we'll get through all of the questions as well. I just think that Liverpool have too many match winners. Are you watching the game? I am. No. Am I going to watch the game? Yeah, I am. I'll be doing a watch along for the Liverpool game. So feel free to jump on and commiserate. Finley, I'll be rooting for your score. So let's see what happens. I think ultimately, logically, we have to say. I don't know what that is. My travel diary. I don't know. No idea. I can't see it. So, as you know, what I have I do have my my YouTube up actually. So let's have a little look at what you're saying, because it might mean that you get banned for something that you put on here. Let's have a little look. Hamid. I don't know what that is, my friend. Don't know, mate. Don't know what that is. Anyway. Okay. Let's have a look. My travel diary. So many, mate, on here. No idea. Anyway, Rob. Good evening, JB, and all in the chat. Good evening, all. This is the Friday night show, as we all know, can go off and veer on any sort of tangent. So Wayne says there'll be yellow cards, mate. We've got Casemiro playing. If he does play, anything is possible. He's always a yellow card away from a red. Hi, mate. Who is your shout to win the league? Ricky B. Wise United fan, I'm sure you are, my friend. Welcome to the show. Good evening. I'm new to this channel. Welcome, my friend. One of the things you will learn on this channel is I try to be logical and fair as I possibly can. I'm not a dictator of this chat. I respect your opinions. I'll give you my opinion. It doesn't mean that that's the end of the conversation. It's a two-way thing, and I will read your opinions because I do respect the opinions. There are super chats and all that stuff on here only because the channel is of that size. But I encourage you guys just to just basically just come on here and just have a chat. So who do I think Ricky B is going to win the league? I'll tell you who I want to win the league. Of all the possibilities right now, Arsenal. I think Arsenal can do it. I do. I think City had an auspicious start. I maybe wrote them off too early. Liverpool are still there. Look, I'm hoping this season Arsenal can do it. So I think it has to be one of Arsenal, Liverpool, City. I think Arsenal will do it this year. Usman says, if United beat Liverpool, will you have a rethink of your end of season predictions from where United will finish? No, not based on one game. No. I think I would be remiss, and I think I would be very, very silly. Look, to base it on one game, Usman, just as I'm not saying Amarin out based on 8 or 9 games, right? I'm not a sort of person, right? If Amarin can win 3-4 games, then I might start to rethink maybe what we can do this season. But based on one game, mate, look, Liverpool weren't playing particularly well. I think let me say this to you, right? So if, for example, we do beat them, right, and then we lose the next 2, am I gonna keep changing my mind? Like I still think that we finish around 10th. The only way that changes is that if we start winning games. Look, until we can win 2 games on a trot and then win 3, 4, 5, maybe draw a loss and then win another 4, 5, 6 games, then that is when I will change my opinion. But one game is not going to change my opinion. I think Starmer was totally wrong to get involved in the Villa match. You have to listen to the advice of the police. Ricky B, I mean, I try not to get involved in the politics side, particularly when it doesn't affect my club. Look, for what it's worth, no matter what your opinion is, while the fucking PM is being involved in this, it needs to. Look, that we all know Starmer's an absolute cretin. So I think Starmer needs to mind his own business. You let the police the game. People are going to have their opinions. I'm not passing an opinion. I'm not saying what's right or wrong. You have to go with the police. And I don't know why politicians are getting involved in this. I think it needs to be led by the police. But again, we all know the police are not the best. So it's going to end up being an absolute mess. So John O'Connor says, do you think the sale will happen? We will come on to that. And let me get through the chat and I will come back up to that, John, and we can talk through that again. Finley, thought you were a United channel, not Arsenal. Look, John, I want United to win the league, right? If I say City to win the league or Liverpool to win the league, then 100%. But we're not winning the league, are we? If you do challenges, I will give you a challenge. Go on then. Harif says, is getting top 7 now the same as getting top 4 was in the early noughties, taking into account how competitive the league is now? No, Harif. I think top 4 is top 4, mate. I don't look. You are right in some respects. That is very, very competitive, but top 4 is still top 4. I mean, unless you're in Champions League places. Look, I think the observation here should be whatever the Champions League spaces are. So if it's top 5, it's top 5. So I think the top 4 comes from the Champions League. So if we have 5 spaces, I would say it's more the top 4 really. But I do think you've got a point. European competition is important. So I think The top four still stands, but I do think you've got a point. I really, really do. Desmond McClinton says Everton FC. Look, big up and respect to the Toffees as well. Wise United fan says there were rumours that Cantona was going to be ambassador to the club, but Sir David could put in a bid, but just with petty cash, he's rolling in it. We'll come on to that as well. I did do a show on that as well. I will come back up to Ricky's, was it Ricky? No, to John's comment as well. Finley says United are the team for me. I hope so. Slot said yesterday that we started better than Liverpool. I don't know about that. Aston Villa are banning the opposition fans. I think they are Israeli fans, not 100% sure. I mean, look, there's something going on there, isn't there? It doesn't seem right, does it? We can beat the big sides but slip up against the smaller teams. Ollie's back, saying Satan. Ollie or Satan, welcome, my friend. Sellers goals have dried up quicker than the desert thanks to Ekatike's form. I love it. So, let's go back up to John. So, do I think the sale will happen? So, let's go through this again. I've got no problem in going through this whole sell stuff again, and you give me your opinions on it as well, right? So, Consortium earlier last week, and we were talking about UAE Consortium coming in to bid for this club. White says, I think we will play Brighton after Liverpool, and Welbeck will be our bogey player again. I bloody hope not, my friend. So we've got it. It's not just as simple as saying, do we think that the sale will happen? So I think what's becoming clear is certain things this week. So we spoke about basically how I think it's investment, or them trying to get investment into the club. And I've said that I think could be a triple threat investment of Glazers, UAE, and Ineos, which basically means that, Glazers could give up some share, but there could be equal power share. So, it could be like 30% Glazers, 30% UAE, 30% Ineos, right? They all have this controlling stake. Now, the reason for that is because UAE could quite easily come in and buy the debt. Now, imagine if they come in and bought the debt and built the stadium, they could spend £3 to £4 billion. Now, people will say, why would you buy debt? The fact that they will buy debt, they'll break even on that debt, and what that then does is it frees up funds to buy players. So, let's just say they bought that debt, they'll break even on that debt. The moment that they're going to be 60, and I think this is true, they're going to be 16,000. And I read this somewhere. There's going to be 16,000 new homes. That's going to be worth so much money on its own. The whole land will be retail. There'll be shops. There'll be the stadium. There'll be and it's not a stadium. It's a whole entertainment. It's going to it's going to be worth billions of pounds. So they don't mind. They don't mind that, right? So I think it's investment, but there is another side to that, which basically says that, look, they're running out of money. There's a video I've done that says why I don't think Sir Jim can afford the club. And if you look at the finances, if you look at Ineos, Sir Jim would have to leverage debt. Sir Jim could buy this club, but he would have to probably spend 7 billion, 8 billion by the time he buys the Glazers out for 5 billion, by the time he then builds a stadium, by the time he pays off the debt. Sir Jim is worth 20 billion pounds. He'd have to liquidate half of his cash, which he's not going to do. And then if you're not going to do that, you leverage it. He's not going to leverage it against himself. Can he leverage 3 billion pounds against the club? We also spoke about if he leveraged that against the club, the repayments every year would go from 50 million to about 300 million, which is not going to happen. And they can't leverage it against Ineos, because Ineos at the moment have a rating of BB and a warning against themselves because they're 13 billion in debt. So this could all culminate in a sell. Now, one of the caveats and one of the things to think about is freight line. I think this is key, and this comes into the thumbnail, and I will come on to your chats as well. Is that as it's been reported that there could be a deal that Freightline have to sell. Now, Freightliner were holding out for hundreds of millions of pounds. Well, because in a capitalist world, if you own something, it's your right to sell it for what you want. Now, Ineos or Scummios and the Glazers have basically concocted this structure and deal that they're going to go to the government and basically force them to sell the land for a fair price, £50 million. And apparently that's been done. So if once they've got Freightliner gone or forcing them to sell, then it could be game over, because then they've got all the pieces of the puzzle. Now, the other side to this is that could actually they just be lining it up to sell. Now, coming back today, this is, so if you know who they are, so Indicator News, look, I'm just reporting the news. They're reasonably big on X. They are 631,000 subscribers or followers and all that jazz. They're not the best. They've reported a bunch of stuff and they are putting their reputation on the line again. So this was broken at 8 o'clock today. And basically the news is this, that a consortium based in the UAE, basically talks have been rejected by the club. Now, basically they believe that talks can be restarted and David Beckham can be key to get this deal done. Now, when we look at this, you can look at this from a logical perspective, and give me your opinions on this as well. So if we're looking now at, do I think there is a consortium? So the first question is this real? I think it is real. Okay. I thought there was 3 scenarios. 1, this is a load of crap. 2, this is investment. 3, this is sale. Now, I still believe investment is probably the one, and sale is close behind that. Now, when we're looking again at, is it investment? Do the Glazers want to sell? And how much money can they get for a potential sell? Now, with the news of Freightliner, potentially a deal being done there and being bought, and now this news tonight, so you can take it with a pinch of salt, is that the consortium, the talks have been rejected. And have they been rejected on the basis that Ineos and the Glazers now know that they're going to be able to build? And once that's the case, we're talking, once they break ground and they build everything, this is going to be worth 10 billion, And is somebody going to come in now and pay 10 billion pounds to the Glazers for work that hasn't been completed? Also, as well, that they're going to have to do the work. So maybe they're going to want maybe around 7 billion pounds to sell this land. Are UAE going to come in with a 6-7 million pound bid? Then they're going to have to clear the debt. Then they're going to have to fund the squad. Then they're going to have to do all this stuff. So it's going to end up costing them 10 to 12 billion pounds just to get this done. So again, the news tonight from Indicator on X, believe it or not, about 631,000 followers in there. A consortium based in the UAE, talks have been rejected by the club. It was a formal approach in the last 24 hours. It's believed, however, that David Beckham could be key to get the talk started again. So give me your opinions on all that stuff. I'd love to know what you think. Yashin says, we are the best. Galatasaray, look, I'm not going to agree with you, but I absolutely respect my friend. If that's your club, then you absolutely have to say that they're the best. JB, starting on for Liverpool game and your score prediction, please. Are you confident Anfield is a hard place to go and get a result? Starting lineup for me, Lemens in goal. I think he goes Dorgu, because I think Mazraoui is a doubt and Delo is a doubt as well, but I think Delo will play. So I think he'll go Dorgu. I think he'll go Delo. I think he'll go Luke Shaw. I think he'll go Yoro and Delict, and I think he'll play a back 5. I think he'll go a defensive, an ultra defensive sort of back 3, with the wing backs being more of a left and right back. I think he goes Ugarte if Casemiro because he's been to Japan and he's been away. If he's not considered fit enough to play, I think he'll go Ugarte and Fernandez in the pivot, which I think is crazy. I think he'll go Mbumo. I think he'll go Mason Mount, and I think he'll go Shesko up front. Am I confident? No. I'm not going to lie. These players let us time, and these players let us down time and time again. I'm not confident in these players. I'm not confident that Amarin will get this right. The best I can do is a draw. At worst, I think we get beat. If I was to put odds on it, I'd probably give us a 20-30% chance that we lose this game. I'm sorry, I'd give us a 20-30% chance that we draw the game and a 70% chance that we lose the game. And it's not me, I hate being like that. I hate saying it. I wish I could be more confident, and on match day I will support this team and I'll be more confident then. But right here and now, to be fair, I think that we have to be realistic. I think Liverpool, for their poor form, if it continues, I still think they've got more match winners in their side. And I think logically, as much as I want to let my heart rule my head, I do believe that we will lose this game. And I'd go for a 2-3-1. Wayne says, I think my side, Liverpool, will struggle this season because of the recent events. If they said you have to sleep, they said on a bed. We're not doing that, my friend. I am not reading that out. I just want to see the Glazers out. I agree with you. Wayne says a football stadium should only be kept as a football stadium. Wayne, I agree with you. If the Glazers had their own way, it will not be that. It will be an entertainment facility. It will be a circus. It will be, a place to go and chill out and eat, which I'm not opposed to that. But there's going to be homes around there as well. It's going to be a circus, and the seats for football matches, they'll start charging like £4,000 just to retain your seat. So I think those of you who are Glinios supporters, I think you need to be prepared, and I think it's really easy to be Ineos and the Glazer supporters when you don't go to the ground and you don't have to pay season ticket prices and you won't have to pay £4,000 for a seat, and the local people and the local fans will be priced out, which I think is disgusting. To think over a year ago we could have had Arab owners plenty of money to buy big players too, but I think Wise fan, I think for me, I think the biggest thing would be that I would hope that they would renovate the club, renovate the ground. I don't mind them building things around it, but as long as it's done in the right way and they build and they support the community around it, but at the same time making it sustainable and regenerating the ground, I'd be all support for that as well. Right now, we can't even repair our crumbling wrecked stadium, not the players, but I'm not sure sometimes. Sir David is passionate about getting his club back on his feet again. I really hope he is. It's going to take years to complete all this. It could take more than 10 years for the club to be a threat again. Yeah, Wayne, as always, my friend, you do speak sense, and I think you're spot on. I think you are spot on. I think it could take many, many years. It took Liverpool 30 years to win a title. And that's not a dig, Wayne. That's basically no, it could happen. It could happen to us. It could happen that we go 30 years without a title. By the time we win our next one, I could be 62. I could be well in my 60s. So I think Wayne's right. Last Easter we could have been very close to having. I've been a fan for 50 years and I want to see the club restored again. Mate, I've been a fan of this club for 38 years myself. And you're even longer as a fan as well. It's what does Wayne Wise what does what does restored to you mean again? Because I don't think we're going to be restored to what we were. I think that's impossible now. But I think restored to me means that a club that you're proud to be part of again. One of the things as well, I think, wise, is that we need to think about is the fan base. The divide in this fan base and the toxicity in this fan base is ridiculous at times. And yes, that does stem, I think, from the PTSD that we've all had from over the last 20 years. Um, when I think of restored, I think of having a ground that's fit again for European football. Being in the Champions League. I demand we win the league every season. That's not going to happen. But for me, being restored is being respectable again, being a threat. And being back in the Champions League. Liam Mill says, "Hi, hello, my friend. Mount could start, maybe come on for sure later on. Xerxes could come on for Shesko after an hour. I don't know what it is. I think, wise fan, I think what happens is I think that Shesko plays the whole game. I think Mason Mount, Cunha comes on for Mason Mount. I think Ahmad comes on as well. I hope Lemens keeps his place. Luke Shaw will come off. He will do. Maguire will probably come on. I mean, Amron's going to have to do something in this game. It's like a bloody shopping centre, exactly. We need to score in the first 10, 15 minutes. The thing is, I don't know. Because the problem with us is when we chase a game, we're not very good at holding a lead. So I'd rather... Look, we need to score more than one goal. I don't believe we are capable of shutting them out. So I think we need to score more than one goal. I don't know. Do I think we're capable of catching them cold? Yes, I do. But we need the Arsenal game. That's what we need. Verts is yet to score this season, and so is Cunha. Look, Verts is what is he, an attacking midfielder, number 10. He's not really there for goals. He should chip in goals. So Cunha as well. I think I'd rather play Cunha in this game, but let's see. Is Verts going to break his duck in this game? These are things, aren't they? Finley Murphy, I'm back. Welcome. Rohit Legend, hi Q Uncle, I'm back. Hello, my friend. We also haven't won at Anfield for years. I'm not holding my breath about a win. If we go 3-0 down at half time, then I won't bother with the second half. I'm going to bother because the reason why I will is because I want to see, I want these players to be called out. If we go 3-0 down at half time and we get absolutely annihilated, these players need to be called out. And if, for example, we go 3-0 down, but one of our players or two of our players, play their asses off, they should be praised. So I'm going to watch the game, whatever happens. But I need to see something. Wayne says, they say things must change for the better, but it doesn't always work out like that. Exactly. I will be 62 in a few weeks' time. Sometimes supporting United ages you. Wise man, and as you say, you are wise. 62 years old, my hands down. So you are 20 years older than me. So if we win a title in 20 years' time, I'll be the same age as you, and you'll be 82. So look, I hope we bring back some of the glory days. Do you know what's scary, wise fan? Right, the last time we won a league, you would have been 49. That is scary. Right, so the last time we won a league, it would have been 12 years ago. So you would have been 50. So you would have been 50, so you would have been 49, 50 years old. I mean, it's scary, right? Absolutely scary. Um, Old Trafford, the ground where legends were made and history created, those feelings won't be there. Look, exactly, and this is the one thing, for Glazer sympathisers, for Ineos fans, they've let our home, where you got to think about this, right? The Busby Babes, right, and you got to think about a team that flew away to play a football match, who played at that ground, died playing for this club, and the Glazers have no respect for the history, what that club means. You look, we had to rebuild a club from scratch. We've had amazing times. We weren't exactly the best for about 20 odd years, and then the glory days, and then they came back. You look at the Premier League pretty much started, and we were the forefathers of the Premier League, and the Glazers don't care. The Glazers don't care. They would rather knock that stadium down, get rid of all that history, and start again. It is. I can't put it into words how heartbreaking that is. I cannot put it into words the history of all those happy memories. Fathers, sons, mothers, sisters, children. People who are not here anymore. People who you've gone to the ground, you've laughed, you cried, you've cheered. You've seen some world class players. You've seen some. All that's going to be lost. All that history that's embedded in those bricks is going to be destroyed, and it is unforgivable. Wayne says, couldn't the supporters protest against some of these decisions? Because I think at the end of the day, it's their club. Look, Wayne, I've always said this, mate. They think they own the club. They are custodians of the club, nothing more. The fans, they will be here. It may change hands. It may change hands for money, and people will believe that they own this club, but they don't. They don't. They are custodians of this club, and the fan base. Look, the fan base knows how to be manipulated, right? Whenever there's a planned, supporters, meet. Suddenly, we're going to be buying players. Suddenly, we're going to be spending £300 million, and then guess what happens? The protests stop. If this consortium doesn't take over this club, I think something needs to happen. If Bienda played, then we will lose heavy. I don't disagree. I'd love to see a hat-trick of matches where Shesko scored. We need to be out of the traps fast. I'm not expecting the same performance as Sunderland. I just want to see a positive result. I don't think we were that great against Sunderland, if I'm being honest. We were better, but I do agree. I think we've come out fast. High from Colorado. HMet, welcome, my friend. I hope you are doing very, very well. Wouldn't be lovely as your Manchester supporter get one of those corner flags? Yeah, exactly. Joe King says, don't sell out to that Saudi money. I mean, look, Joe, I've said on here a couple of times what I would love to happen. I would love, and again, I'm not, this is a pie in the sky. There were too many spinning plates. There were too many complexities for this to happen. But in an ideal world, I'd love the fans to own half of it and have a say. Maybe not a controlling stake, but at least 49% of this club. Alongside somebody who wants to sustain this club. We get this debt cleared, and I'd have no problem in trying to sustain this club on the money that it earns. I think we earn enough for us to sustain a winning club and do it the right way. Ownership of the fans, give something back to the fans. The fans could raise, we're a billion strong, right? If every fan put in £1, ridiculous, right? But Joe, the problem is that's the way football is. Joe, I mean, I don't agree with it. Look, if Sir Jim, and we're going to see this, I've already made a video on this as to why Sir Jim cannot buy this club. If Sir Jim could buy the club, clear the debt, happy days. I would want to happily hold up my hands and say, well done, Sir Jim. You had this plan the whole time. You truly are a United fan. You're not here, as I believe, as of now, you are here to profit off of the club. How do we survive as a club? We are £1.2 billion in debt, which the Glazers will not clear. We don't make any money. What do we do, Joe? You tell me. If you can tell me, Joe, another way to do this, I am all ears. I'm all ears completely, but I just don't know. Selling to the Saudis is like selling your souls. Saudis human. Look, Joe, I agree with you. I agree with you. My thumbnail isn't about me supporting this. This is about me basically reporting what has come out tonight. And I'll give you it again. So Indicator on X, 631,000 subscribers. Not exactly the most reliable. I mean, they're quite big. They are award winning now. I think they got a lot of their credit from, I think, Ornstein giving them a shout out at some point. And this is what they've reported today at 8 o'clock, is that a consortium based in the UAE has been rejected. So the former approach has been rejected in the last 24 hours. They also believe that David Beckham could be key to this. Now, where would Indicator get all this from? I don't know. I can only break what I've heard. And that's where we are tonight. Tom, hey, hello, my friend Tom is a legend. I've known Tom for a little while. Tom is a legend of the chat. Please say hi to Tom. Kroenke has done it enough damage-wise. Wayne says English owner would be great, but that won't happen. Exactly, Wayne. If this club could be fan-owned or part fan-owned, done in the right way, sustainable, living off of the money that it earns, and it can, particularly if you get back into the Champions League as well, I'm all for that. I'm not for having billions of pounds being pumped into this club. But the problem now, and this is the main issue, is that the stadium is in such disrepair. It's going to cost billions to fix it, right? It's going to cost, I think the figure is 1.5 billion to fix it, right? Something needs to happen. So you need to raise over $1 billion to build a stadium or fix the stadium. You're going to need to get rid of the debt. That's $1 billion, 1.2. You need money every season to build the squad as well. So for us to start, so for us to have a clean slate, we're talking we need at least investment-wise $3 billion. And I just don't see how that happens. Papipa, I don't want Middle Eastern owners. Look, as it is right now, beggars can't be choosers. A back-to-back win as rare as seeing an honest MP on TV or winning the Euro Millions. I think there's probably more chance of you winning the Euro Millions than it is of us winning back-to-back. We can win the match if VAR and the refs are on our side. Why would any United fan want Middle East owners? As I've just explained there, what? Okay, my question then. Okay, my question to you, back at you, is I'm not calling you out as well, right? You give your opinions, I respect that opinion, and then I'll give mine back, right? Tell me why you wouldn't want to. The debt of this club is now so vast that it would take somebody with considerable resource, to just basically throw money at this club to fix it, because the current owners have destroyed this. And we're not just talking someone coming in to buy the club off of the Glazers and clear the debt, right? The debt is bad enough as it is. Fundamentally, we are rotten. We need a new stadium or the stadium fixed, and that's at least $1 billion to $2 billion right there. This team needs $1 billion spent on it at least. The Glazers need to be like they need to be gone, so you need to pay them to go. If you can show me an owner that's willing, look, Sir Jim is what, the second richest man in this country, local lad, apparently worth £20 billion. If he can't afford to buy it, and I've done a video on that as to why he can't afford it, if he can't afford it, who is going to afford it? Look, I'm not disagreeing with you, but United fans want it because they want these Glazers gone. Anything seems better and an improvement than basically having owners who don't give a shit about this club. So, look, I disagree. Like, I understand there are probably 1,000 reasons why people would, because they want this club restored. What was there a meeting about the Takeover? So Martin, the news from Indicator on X, whether you believe them or not, I always say take it with a pinch of salt. A consortium based from the UAE apparently has had talks, and in the last 24 hours, and that has been rejected by the club. However, it's believed the talks can be restarted by David Beckham as a key player into that. Now, Indicator News has come out of that as an exclusive, as many of the exclusives they have, and their exclusives never actually come true. I have to say the original one that they said about UAE and the consortium was sort of half true. I don't know how they would know. Now, one thing of that they do very, very well is that they cover their own asses, right? Is that in one breath they're saying that it is rejected. The consortium met and it was rejected, and then in the next breath they said, well, actually, it could be restarted again with Bex. You tell me. Do I think there's a modicum of truth in it? Yes, I do. I think there is some truth in it on the basis that I do believe that a freight line deal will be done. So what that means is that that's the last piece of the puzzle for the Glazers to get this built. The one shred of light we still have, where are they getting the investment from to build the stadium and to regenerate the land? Look, you've got your opinions on it. But I think probably 70% of the fan base would disagree with you. Joe says Arsenal had the same problem. We took over 20 years to do it. We didn't need. But look, it is called patience. But the difference is, Joe. The difference is you've got owners who wanted to invest in this club, and you didn't have £1.2 billion worth of debt to begin with, right? If you've got £1.2 billion and you've built a stadium and you're paying that off, fine, 100%. But we have £1.2 billion worth of debt. And then on top of that, you would need another £2 billion for a stadium, 1.5. How are we going to pay £3 billion back? It's completely different. You can't liken Arsenal in the way that they did it to what we did it. You can't do it. Mate, it's impossible. Let's just say we paid it over 10 years or 20 years, right, with interest rates as they are. So let's just say you pay it off in 10 years. What's that? £300 million a year, right, to pay it off. In 20 years, that's £150 million a season to pay off £3 billion for the debt and the club. So to bear in mind, our loss, even with our debt repayments at the moment, is roughly about £50 million a year, and we lost £36 million. We then suffer another 100 million and would then lose another 100 million. So we would need to find at least 100 million extra earnings every single season to cover the cost of 3 billion. Joe, you can't make the situation is not the same. But I do admire how Arsenal did it. Mate, it's not a dig at you, by the way, and it's not. Arsenal did it the correct way, but mate, we're in a completely different state. I'd rather stay a beggar and pride intact. Look, mate, I'm glad you are. I'm glad you are. You're bigger than that. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen, is it? So I'm your pride's intact. You'd rather be a beggar. What can I say? United, the most famous club in the world. We shouldn't be down to this, having people such as the Glazers. I agree with you. It's a lack of belief. I get both sides, and I know I sound. Look, you don't. You don't. Right? I get it. I share it. Like, as much as I'm talking about this and the thumbnail, I'm just reporting the news, right? Do I think that that's the best way? No. Do I agree that I've said this a couple of times? That I am not. It is not my idealistic way to do it, right? As I've just said there, I'd rather fan ownership. I'd rather do it the correct way, right? But it's not going to happen. And no matter what I think is right, no matter what you think is right, the club is going to do, and the fans want the best, right? The fans want money. You could be right. Who's to say? And we have to play like the good and the bad sides here. Who knows? Who knows? It may be out the frying pan and into the fire. Says, again, these are the problems Arsenal had, but we didn't need Saudi money. Joe, you don't have our problems, mate. I disagree. You don't have our problems. You didn't start from the position that we have. We are £1.2 billion in debt already. We are losing money every year. We're not in the Champions League now. The stadium needs £1.5 billion to fix, or £2 billion to build a new stadium. Joe, you are nowhere near. You are nowhere near the problems that we are, mate. And look, Joe, Arsenal, admire Arsenal. What they've done is brilliant. But you are nowhere near the levels of debt that we are. Nowhere near, mate. I don't want to see United in the Championship, but I don't want to see them win maybe slave money. Look, I get it, mate. I do get it. We all know scruples and football don't go together. But something has to change. Something has to change. Look, I find myself agreeing with you. I do, but this is what the fans are going to want. This is that we have no say in it, right? And that's just the way of the world. Cantona was ambassador, then he would be giving us all of his philosophies. Yes, he would be. But the thing about this, so Cantona is an ambassador. Beckham is an ambassador, apparently, as well. Now, this is both come from Indicator. They've nailed their balls to the mast on this one. they will try to say that this is just their news. Now, I'm actually reporting news. I'm giving you the both sides. They have nailed their balls to this mast, and if it's not true, then they need to own up to it. Arab Eastern owners have the money and resources to fix it all. Yes, they do. Liverpool was almost dead last half a season a few years ago. Yes, they were. Look, you give me owners. Look, I'm not saying the owners need to be UAE, right? But Liverpool, again, were not, and Wayne, you can correct me on this one, Liverpool were not in £1.2 billion worth of debt. They just weren't. And this is what, I don't think this is what you grasp, is the levels of debt. The levels of debt that we've got, not only the levels of debt, but the infrastructure of this club is collapsing down around the Glazers' ears. We're talking 1.2 billion of debt, including player debt. We need to buy players, so you might as well lump on another £500 million, £1 billion, right? So you might as well say we need at least another £500 million to build a team, probably £1 billion. So that's £2.2 billion just to get the playing squad right and just to clear the debt. Stadium to be fixed, another 1.5. You're talking £3.5 billion debt. No one has started from that. Liverpool haven't started from that. Arsenal haven't started from that position. I'm not arguing here about the rights and wrongs of who owns it, but to suggest that Liverpool and Arsenal were in the same stratosphere of our catastrophe of a club is just not right, my friend. On rainy days, we could give our fans umbrellas and mats, and we get plenty of flash band to repair the roof. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So much coin, but also none. Exactly. Bill Gates would be fabulous owner now. He has the money. I think that he's giving half of it away. I mean, but I tell you what I've heard. Fans want Mr. Beast to own this club. I mean, fucking hell, Mr. Beast. I mean, honestly, people are so desperate for people to buy this club. They want YouTubers to buy this club. I mean, look, you guys, if you can make me a billionaire, I will buy this club. I will happily buy this club. So you can make it happen for me, then I'll buy this club. Shame Elon Musk didn't help. He could pay for the debt with loose change. I'd rather see the right thing happen. Look, I'm with you. I promise you, I'm with you. Selling the club, the Glazers are very greedy. They will squeeze as much as they possibly can out. Just greed. I agree. Rob says the Glazers out. Legend Rob. Guys, I'm off. I enjoyed my first time on the stream. I look forward to the next one. Have a good day all, and we'll win 2-0 on Sunday. I hope so. And good night, my friend. Love the figures you come out with. Spot on. Cheers, buddy. What an interesting piece of content. I really enjoyed watching this, and keep up the great work. Thank you, my friend. Welcome here anytime. Appreciate it. So United fans would sell their morals and history for some trophies. Would rather keep my moral compass intact and walk away from my club completely. Joe, I admire it. I do. I admire people with a central compass. I admire people who stand by, who stand by it. I'm very similar to that, right? Do I want UAE with their record to necessarily own this club? No. Do I have a choice in it? No. But I disagree that you abandon your history. History is history. I disagree with that part. Future, yes. but you're not going to get rid of the history just because your future is something else. So you saying that Liverpool's history isn't right, or Arsenal's isn't there anymore because they got a stadium built. No, irrespective of who built the stadium, I disagree that because UAE come in, then our history is suddenly not right. I don't agree with that bit, but I do agree going forward, it would be hypocritical then of United fans to, cast opinion on other clubs. The only thing I am going to say on that, though, is that the only reason why we are in this mess is because of the Glazers, and we were successful before the money. So those would be my counterpoints. You won't be relegated. I disagree. LFC, come on, look, come on now. We don't mind the banter. We've got some amazing Liverpool fans on here. Look, we don't mind the banter, but come on. Look, if you're going to banter us, please come out with something more intelligent than you're going to go. Look, we're not getting relegated, are we? Come on, please come up with something more intelligent than that, because it's too simple. Liverpool back then wasn't in no debt. It's the club wasn't run exactly, Wayne. You got a problem with YouTubers owning the club, but not people who publicly lop off heads with him. Look, I never said that. I never said I've got a problem with them owning a club. And Joe, as I keep saying to you, right, I don't necessarily want UAE to own this club. And I've even said to you on here now, if you listen to what I'm saying, because I've said it, go back, I've agreed with you on the human rights. I've said that I don't necessarily want the UAE to come in to this club. I've told you how I would like to own the club. I'd like fan ownership in this club with the right people. So if you listen to what I'm saying, that's what I am saying. What the club does is something different. I do not have that power. YouTubers owning the club, there's no Mr. Beast can't buy this club, right? Okay. I don't have a problem with anybody buying the club for the right reasons. Look, you have your opinion on it. I share some of your opinion. I do. But you can't beat people down with that opinion. You've got that. I get it. You've got a moral statute that you think is right, which I do share. But whether you like it or not, you can't keep beating the drum and beat people down, because people just won't agree with you, Joe. People won't agree. Do I think that you should stop that? No. I think you should absolutely keep beating that drum if that's what you think is right. But you're saying to me, but you're not listening to what I'm saying. I've already said that I agree with you for similar reasons, but it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter what I think, because the club and the fans would do what they want to get success. I hate the way rivals are shaming us for losing 3 in a row, not like United and other teams have lost 5 in a row. Mate, mate, you are on the right channel, mate. The banter is banter, right? We are not in a position. We're not in a position to banter anybody, right? When you've been down in the dirt for so long, it opens your eyes, right? And I'm now of this opinion, of why would you revel in the misery of others? Look, banter's banter, right? Let's just say if you spank us 4-1, right? Banter is banter, right? Or if we beat you guys, right? But to revel in someone else's pain or someone else's, I just think it just shows lack of class. I do. Um, anyway, good lads. Shame you're going down this path, but I guess the money is too good. Joe, mate, look, we don't know what's going to happen. But let's see, Joe. Look, Joe, mate, I'm gonna say to you, keep on banging that drum. I mean, I think you raised some good points. But yeah, keep on, because I think you do make some good points. Why have United not sacked Amarin, mate? It's a long old, it's a long old one. It's such look. I don't want to sack him. Quite simply, Amarin is the least of the problems. He's been brought in to do a job with players that can't play his system. The players don't fit his system, and he's not been bought new players. It's more than players. It's more than the manager. It's more than players. It says Arsenal have had a very good owners over the last years and very good managers. It makes a big difference. Yes, it might be a bit better than. I love it. Nice. Hope it's a good game. So do I. Look, banter's banter. It's all cool. It is all good, and look, respect the banter. I do. We are, as you would know, on here with me. I absolutely respect rival fans and clubs. Because we're all in the same boat, right? We're all in the same boat. We all want the same for. Lucky, I disagree, mate. I disagree. Look, again, I respect the opinion, Lucky, but I think you have to have banter. I think it's really important to be able to. I think, look, what it does, in my opinion, I think it's a very male thing, right? I think banter is a very male thing, and apologies to any women, etc., as well. But I think banter is a very, very male thing, right? And it's just a way for you to show. To me, banter shows a bit of respect as well, right? You're getting off your. It's just a way to sort of release, and just a way to get stuff off of your chest. And it's just to me, banter's always been a way to bond as well, right? You kind of like but there is a big difference between banter and disrespect. I think LFC is respectful, banter is banter. Trust me, we've had so many worse things on here, and again, it is exactly, that's all it is. It is literally just banter, and this is why I love rival fans who come on here. I think what happens on here is that rival fans do come on sometimes with that they see our channel and then they go, Ireland, mate, I love Ireland, respect. Is I think sometimes rival fans come on and they just go, oh, this is just another shitty, place for, and then you come on the channel and then you kind of learn that actually we do different things here. This is not just about United fans, saying that we're the best and blah 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 blah. This channel really is about respect, and I absolutely love talking to you guys. I think it's interesting to get your opinion on our club, and it's really interesting to get your opinion on the game as well, because rivals, but there is respect there, 100% from me. So yeah, if you have just joined, thumbnail wise, I'll just tell you where that's from. Much to what was reported last week, UAE bid rejected. How much did they reject? Now, so I'll tell you where it's from. Okay, and you can tell me how much shit you think this is. So Indicator on X, whether you like them, loathe them, it's whatever. They're getting bigger now, right? They reported that the consortium to begin with, which was, to be fair to them, it was proved correct in some respects. They reported that that a consortium was meeting last Monday or Monday at 1 p.m. precisely. Okay, none of that ever came out whether that was confirmed, but what was confirmed is that a consortium has been put together. Now, what they've reported is that consortium based in the UAE talks have been rejected. A formal approach was made in the last 24 hours. However, David Beckham is believed to be key in making the talks happen again. Now, what you need to understand about these guys is that they're very good at playing the both sides. So they'll go, yes, this is definitely going to happen, but it might not happen, right? And I'll give you a prime example, is they were adamant that they had this secret news that Amarin in the last international break was going to get sacked. It was called Project something or other, right? And Amarin was going to get sacked, and Amarin was definitely gone, and they had this secret news, and they, and it proved to be a fucking load of bollocks, right? Because it is. They got the UAE thing slightly on point. Nothing else other than the UAE thing was correct. Now they've reported this. Now, to go back to how much it was worth, nobody knows. It's not come out yet. So how much truth do I think is in this? I do think that a UAE consortium is looking at this. Now, those of you who are looking for rays of light, who are looking, Wayne says sometimes you don't know which way to take. And the one thing I say about on here and with words and text is very difficult to get context from a message, right? It is really difficult sometimes to get context. So I agree, Wayne. I mean, sometimes I've gone off on somebody and it's banter, but because you don't know, it's Nikki T says is bantering because he wants to make friends and chat. Believe me, I've seen a lot worse. Look, I've LFC edits. Welcome here, and Nikki T, I am with you, my friend. The one thing I'll say, which I love about this community, we're very protective. I get that completely. But you're right. I mean, LFC is welcome here. Look, if anybody wants to come on here and make friends and chat, get on here. This is a Friday night show. I come in, I talk about the club, but we go off on a tangent as well. Happy. We've had some amazing people on here who just come in with some comments, and then we end up steering in a different path. This is what this show is about tonight. This is an evening show, Friday night show. Going off on a tangent is what I do like with these shows. So Roblox, look, I think there is some truth in this. Do I think a formal bid was made? I don't think so. Probably an approach has been made. I think that to get this club is going to cost a premium, and the ultimate question here is how much realistically, now that Freightline, I think, has been bought out or going to be, how much is somebody willing to do that, or will they be priced out? So £5 billion, this could end up being 6. Look, if we're looking at a bid, if we're looking at the bid of this club, let's look at this from a logical perspective, right? So Glazers want £5 billion. That's not including the debt. I don't believe that's including the debt, right? 1.2 billion of debt, roughly. So we're talking about 6.2 billion pounds. Sir Jim is guaranteed 1.3 billion pounds. So it's that 7.5. So for somebody to come in and buy this club, now if that 5 billion includes the debt, then fine. But let's just hedge our bets and say that that includes the debt. Somebody would have to come into this club. Just to get this club, we're talking 6 billion, 6.3 billion pounds to get this club. Who out there is going to do that? And that is my only caveat to this, is when this club is worth on the stock market £2.5 billion, somebody would have to come in and see the potential, get the Dragon's Den to buy it. Exactly. Now, what I am forgetting to mention as well, which I will mention this again. So not only do they have to spend 5 billion to get them out, let's just be fair and let's just say the Glazers are going to be really, really kind and they're going to include 5 billion pounds, the debt in that. Okay, so that's 5 billion including debt. 1.3 to Sir Jim, so that's 6.3. A new stadium, which needs to be built or regenerated, is going to be at least 1 to 1.5, 2 billion pounds. So let's say 1.5, 7.8. It's going to be at least 8 billion pounds for somebody to come and invest in this club just to get it to a standard. Howard Saints, is just imagine if United win on Sunday though. Just imagine, look, Harold, I'm with you, right? My only thing, and this is not about your comment, this is just about that sort of thing, is imagine we're saying to ourselves, let's just imagine, let's just hope and pray that we win. Why aren't we saying to ourselves, we can go and win that match? I expect to win it. Like, Howard, how far have we fallen that even I'm saying it as well? Even I'm saying, imagine if we win. We should be saying we should win. We should be saying we can win this match. But what we're doing is we're saying we imagine and we hope and we pray. How far have we fallen? How far? Sin says England. Yes. I'm not English, but yes, England. Scott, legend of the chat, my friend. I hope you're doing extremely well, Scott. Scott is a legend on here as well. So yeah, legend. Roblox master. Only logical thinking is if the UAE can't buy it, nobody will, unless somehow you get Elon Musk in, which is very unlikely. Exactly my point, because, and as Wayne said there, the club is worth £6 billion to buy it. Yeah, and Wayne, Sir Jim is guaranteed 1.3, right? The Glazers want 5, so that's 6.3 before a stadium. And the stadium has to be either built or sorted out. JB, have you tried to reform Matt then? Scott, I have, mate. There's nothing I can do, mate. The software that I've got and the way that they are, mate, there's nothing I can do. I can make the quality better, I just can't do anything with the size. Yeah, there's nothing with the copies that I've got, mate. There's nothing I can do. I mean, and I've got a pretty powerful PC, and yeah, it's just the format of them and the quality as well. So I've been trying, but there's, look, I can get them on, but they just don't look great. No business to Glazers make a YouTube short of them. Yeah, I was thinking about that, so I might do that as well. But the only problem with that, again, is the format that they're in. They need to be 9 by 16, 16 by 9, and they're not. So it's very. The problem is that basically, if I try to make a short, they're just going to look shit. And those goals are brilliant. So I want them to look great. Let's talk business here. We can do. Who starts on Sunday? Sell out the whole of Manchester to the Middle East. What could go possibly wrong? Okay, so Howard, I'll go through the team again. So I'm hoping Le Mans starts in goal. Mazraoui, I believe, is 50-50 still out. So I think he goes Dorgu because he has to. I think a Delo, even though he's come back, I think he'll go in. I think he'll go Luke Shaw, Delict, Yoro. I think he'll go a defensive back five. Now, Casemiro for me is the one I'm not sure about because Casemiro went to Brazil. He's in the Brazilian squad, played in Japan. Cunha the same. So they have to take a consideration from the fact that that's a long flight. I think Ugarte would play. It wouldn't surprise me if Casemiro plays, but I think Ugarte will probably play. I think the double pivot is going to be. Bruno Ugarte, and then I think he plays Mbeumo. I think he plays Mason Mount and Shesko up front, and that's what I think he'll do. He may put Ahmad on instead on that right wing back position. If Mazraoui is fit, I think Mazraoui might come in there as well for Dorgu. But I think from what Amrin was saying today, Mazraoui maybe, Delo maybe. I think he goes defensive, and when he goes defensive, Delo always goes in there. So I think Le Mans, I think Delo, Yoro, Delict, Luke Shaw, Dorgu. I think a pivot is going to be disastrous. Again, Ugarte, Bruno, and then he's going to go in Mbeumo, I think Mason Mount and Shesko up front. That's what I think. Do you have a PlayStation? No, I've got an Xbox Series X. If you did, then I could send them over. That will be better quality and a different size. I don't, my friend, sadly. You're spot on, to be fair. Adam, who's reporting the rejected bid? No, Adam, look, mate, I will tell you exactly. And look, when I report this stuff, Adam, I report it and I bring it in for us to discuss, right? Because it's really important for us to basically discuss the hell out of it and give our opinions, because then we can call this shit out as fake news. So, Indicator on X, Adam, I don't know if you're aware of them. We've spoke about them before. They're exclusives. They're world exclusives. They're 9 times out of 10, it's a load of bollocks. So this has come from them. Okay, they reported an exclusive as well at the beginning of the week or whenever it was that the UAE were meeting the club at 1 p.m. Very, very specific. You know, it did transpire that a UAE consortium are involved. Whether they've met or not, you can take that as a pinch of salt. Indicator, reasonably big now, award winning and all that crap. To play the advocate of this, Indicator, if you go back through their stuff, look, what they always do, they say, oh, this will definitely happen, or it might not happen. And I'll give you a couple of things that they've said. They basically said that Amrin, they received secret news that there is a code name for Amarin to be out in the next international break, which was the one that's just gone. He was definitely gone. And then in the same post said, but he might not be. Lo and behold, Sir Jim has come out and said we're giving 3 years. So, you know, they were said on the Belieber stuff that Belieber's definitely going to come next season. There's a pre-agreement in place, and now it's come out that United now actually are turning their attentions to a different player. But Indicator are reasonably big, and when they put stuff out there, look, it's important, I think, as fans to separate the wheat and the chaff, and to separate the bullshit from the good stuff. So, to be fair to them, they did speak about a consortium, and then I said Jacobs Ben on X. So Ben, who's been in the United stand, I did get sent a clip from that as well of him talking, and I respect Ben a lot. I think he's great. Talking then about the IHC group, UAE based, doing this as well. So there is a little bit of truth in that. So they've gone on to say tonight, categorically, and they've nailed their balls to the wall on this one, basically saying a consortium based in the UAE have had talks, but they've been rejected in the last 24 hours. However, this is an indicator special, right? So they'll go consortium based, but it's been rejected. The bid has been out. No figures. Okay, no figures involved. However, they still believe that talks can be restarted by Beckham. So, and the reason why this is important to talk about tonight is because they've got on X, people listen to what they say, and what will then happen is that you'll get a lot of YouTube accounts now that will use this to tell you, not like what we do on here. We will come on, we'll talk about it, and we will say, look, this is crap or good. They will use this now to try to pull in people, because I've seen it, and they will take this as truth. Howard says, I agree. Score prediction. Sadly, I think that we'll lose. I'd like a draw, but I do think that we'll lose 2-1. Wayne says, speak to you on Sunday after the game. Got to be up early. Wayne, legend of the chat, my friend. I hope you are. Hope you have a good weekend. Howard says, we've got 4 to 5 that need a goal tomorrow to start their careers. The game's on Sunday. Similar to Liverpool, to be fair. Kane says, what's your score predictions for Sunday? Look, I'd love to be more optimistic. I'm going to say here and now, I think we lose. Look, I don't trust these players. Look, we're going to go to Anfield with a midfield pivot of either Ugarte and Bruno, or Casemiro and Fernandes, right? McAllister, Szoboszlai, Wirtz. It dominates us all day long. Ekitike, Salah, Isaac against fucking Luke Shaw. Look, we've got to be realistic here. We're going to go to Anfield set up to counter. We're going to have to be taking a load of shots. We're going to have to be defended extremely well. I don't see anything other than a loss. I really don't, guys. I think 3-1. Liverpool, not a fan of either. Both clubs have been struggling, but Liverpool need to step up to retain the Prem. I sadly agree with you. Rubin's going nowhere. Come on, Shesko, it's your time to introduce yourself. Look, Harold, I hope so. It's time for Fernandes to step up. I'm looking for Fernandes to fucking step up. He goes hiding in these games, and I am looking for him to step up as a captain. If Bruno capitulates, this whole team does as well. Scott says 2-1. I love it, Scotty. Scotty keeping the positivity. Casemiro in the double pivot is horrible. He will get cooked. Agree with you. I 100% agree with you. A draw we're looking for. All I want in the bigger games is Delict, Yoro, Kobe, Mainu, Mason Mount, Cunha, Dorgu, Xerxes. Look, mate, Xerxes is not getting in this team, mate. I'll be astounded. Lucky, I will praise you to the high heaven if Xerxes gets anywhere near this team. Mainu is not getting in this team. I don't know why. I don't know why. Lucky, mate, 3-3. We ain't scoring 3 goals at Anfield, mate. 3-3, mate. I mean, look, they may look again. 3-3, I would take it. I would take a 3-3 all day long, but I just don't see us scoring 3 goals. I can see them scoring 3. I just can't see us scoring 3 goals. So, guys, yeah, we're fast approaching Sunday, fast approaching the game. So, yeah, we're going to be it. So, guys, I'm going to go an hour and a half. Slabhead will score a last-minute goal to make it 3-1 to Liverpool. I know. I mean, look, it's just again. I just don't know. I just don't know. But guys, on that note, I am going to go an hour and a half show. I love these shows. These evening shows are fantastic. Brilliant, fantastic. A big thank you, as like I always say, big thank you to you guys for being here, talking. Getting the community. You guys make the channel what it is. Without you guys on here, this channel means nothing at all. Getting scoreboard for them. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. You do make this channel amazing. This channel is nothing without you guys. So I will be back, but I'll be back tomorrow. I may be back tomorrow. I'll be back late again tomorrow. I probably won't do one during the day, but I will do one probably tomorrow night. Just let the news kick up tomorrow, and then we can talk about some good stuff tomorrow. So guys, have a good rest of your morning, evening, wherever you are. Vaughan, Lockett before I go. Liverpool 2, simply because we have mistakes in the midfield and we struggle to score. Vaughan, I think you're right. I think you summed it up perfectly well. Vaughan, I think you're 100% correct. I think that we simply don't have a midfield. I think we'll be overran, and I don't think we can. Look, I'll be surprised if we score more than a goal. So I think Vaughan is spot on. But look, I do hope we win, and I will be more positive on the day, I hope. So guys, have a wonderful rest of your evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are in the world. As I say, thank you so much for being here. It means so much to the channel. Just do not underestimate every like, every view plays a major part in making this channel bigger and makes it the best on here. So thank you so much, guys. Have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, evening. And I will see you tomorrow. So have a good rest of whatever you're up to. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care.